Welcome to a brand new season of Industry Leaders. You'll meet people with real passion who through dedication and hard work became our industry leaders. They'll share their inspirational stories of resilience and hope as they advance their chosen industry. On this episode, we'll meet experts in labour hire, permanent placement and property development, plus a family-owned, qualified, certified service business. But first, an academy that sees the potential in every child. Sports Star Academy's Peter and Kelly Nikolakopoulos believe champions are made, not born, through their flexible programs and skill level. Industry Leaders, brought to you by Annex Media.
The reason why I created what we're doing today is through life experience. So what we went through, what we experienced and where it is today, to give today's kids an opportunity to be active and to play. What we do is we offer programs for them that can do before school, during school, after school, weekends, so giving that flexibility, so there's no excuse of when can I do it, you can do it. And we keep it very local as well, so it's all in the community base.
We have a range of player pathway opportunities, so customers come in and they might have one child that wants to play soccer or football, and then they might have a daughter that wants to play tennis or footy. So the business is set up to facilitate different siblings in different class environments.
Our point of difference in the market is that we're one organisation. So as a family, you join Sports Star Academy. So with one membership, you get the ability to do various things, so various sports. Key factor is that we also provide pathway.
Things like weekly programs we offer, so kids come and have weekly skill sessions. Then as they move up and they improve, they go into an elite squad environment. We've got other different types of classes as well, and even working with the highest of like the A-League here in Australia as well, giving player opportunities through that way is really important as well. We definitely do not discriminate, and we work with a lot of families with children who have autism or some sort of disability. One of our franchise partners, he actually worked with a young boy who had an amputated leg.
My professional journey, going to university on a scholarship in America, coming back to sort of seeing, what am I going to do next? At the time, football was my life. The professional level in Australia wasn't any money in the game. The first challenge I had was what I'm going to do. I've devoted my whole life to sport, but I'm not going to make a living out of it. My first instance I started to create was completely out of sport, but I got into hospitality through really starting as a young boy. I was washing dishes and I was involved in probably one of the worst waiters that you've ever seen at 17, 18, just to get by through school and having a bit of pocket money. But it did get to a point where I had an ability to, what I was doing is creating events. So I was 25 years old. Me and my cousin got together and bought a pub, and there was a rundown pub. From that evolved, and I ended up opening other businesses as well, and had probably about a 10-year run in hospitality. But my true passion was sport. So I was doing that because I had to make something for a living, and I really didn't have another option. But it got to a point where I was pretty much knew what I wanted to do. Then I went through that process that I went through and set my goals, my targets, did a transition. So it was time to cut that, move it out of my life. And in the meantime, I'd built something that was, where it is today.
Working with my husband, it can be challenging at times, and it's not for everyone, but it does work for us.
Kelly and I work really well together. She's got an important part of the business in marketing, and I do what I do as well, and I think we complement each other very well.
We Winning the Australian Business Award for Business Innovation was a real highlight, and it makes the team really proud. So building up that morale within our people, our staff, our franchise partners, they're all things that gets them excited, and it adds that layer of credibility and strengthens our reputation in the market.
Ooh, plans for the future. Yeah, so very clear sort of goals of where we want to take Sportstar within Australia. So with 50 franchises now up. By the end of 2020, we want to have all 300 locations up and running. So Australia-wide. We're also in discussions with international partners that want to come on board. So there's opportunities at the moment. We're in discussions in the USA, UAE, Singapore and Hong Kong.
Our business is so much more than a sport program. It's about building confidence in children, resilience, and yes, obviously they learn a lot of skills in sport, and that's amazing, but there's so much more that comes through learning the skills that they learn through sport, so like teamwork, commitment, and these are skills that they take through for the rest of their life.
Leadership for me, it means allowing others to follow their dream, to make their dreams come true. We are creating a movement of change for tomorrow's grassroots leaders. This is what we're really passionate about and making this change. The way we do this is through kids learn through our sports academy, and we lead through our community heroes, which are our business partners, and we want kids to grow into good human beings.
Coming up on Industry Leaders, award-winning Service Heroes co-founders Annie and Anthony Bedrosian, who started from a home office. Fast forward a decade and their tradies are under-promising and over-delivering in 2 major metropolitan areas.
I grew up in Sydney, Australia. My dad is an actual tradie, so he's a spray painter by trade. So I guess I've always been surrounded by tradespeople. When I was a child, I didn't think I'd end up in the trade industry. I was always into the hospitality and events management side. But I guess that helped give me the skills of coordination for the trade side. When I actually knew the skills when I jumped in with the ship with Anthony, I realized how to coordinate jobs and dispatch when I was in the trenches at the first day. And I ended up marrying a tradie as well.
Growing up, I was brought up in southwestern Sydney. I've always been hands-on, loved doing things with building things, dismantling things and putting it back together. For instance, my parents would buy me a remote control car, and for some reason I used to open it apart, dismantle it and put it back together, or make something totally different from what the car was, to a little boat that you put on the water in the bathtub, and yeah.
Service Heroes started with humble beginnings from our home office in early 2010. We service all of Sydney Metropolitan and all of Victoria Metropolitan. Originally, Service Heroes started with the electrical side. Gradually over the years, we found that clients wanted multiple trades to come from the one company. So we thought, why not to grow into the different trades, so we now have plumbing, air conditioning, solar and flood recovery. This has helped with actually providing better service to the clients, better price, as a one-stop shop where they can trust that one company rather than getting multiple trades into their house.
A point of difference is our culture. We actually care. We actually look after our team as if they are family. They understand the morals and the core values of our business.
To change the way you think about tradesmen, where you see bad publicity these days of tradies not turning up, not adhering to the customer's needs, we are here to change the way that is viewed these days. Our services are under promised and over delivered. The early days of Service Heroes, we started with a one-man van, which was Anthony. Once we started building our clientele and our repeat clients, we realized we need help. And ever since then, over nearly a decade, from one-man van, we've turned over 40 team members over 2 states. Anthony in 2013 was nominated as Sydney's favourite tradie. So one of our clients in the North Shore had cut out his photo and stuck it on her fridge and called us 3 or 4 years after that and wanted us to come out and said, I have had Anthony's photo on my fridge and I look at him every day and I want him to come and do my job for me. So it was overwhelming when she said that, because just showed out how much impact he had had for a client like that. Service Heroes technicians are primed to keep the customer as #1 priority. So we call half an hour approach, we have red carpet service, they get there on time, they give options to the customer, they basically treat them as family. The biggest award that stuck with us was in 2013 for the National Trade Service Award. When we won that, all I can say is the whole table just jumped off the floor and ran to the stage because everyone was just overwhelmed and excited, and everyone rang their families to say we won the award. Everyone was just so happy.
The energy, the thrive, the impact that it did to our culture, it just emphasised we are doing the right thing. We're always striving for better. We're always striving to do something over and beyond, provide that service with a wow.
Running the business with my best friend / husband can be rewarding and challenging at the same time, but we try and keep business 9 to 5 and then keep our family stuff after hours.
She's my backbone, she's my pillar of support. Her energy and her enthusiasm, it just portrays in my team as well, which is fantastic in business and part of our culture as well. Growing up, I've always loved the character Superman. He was a superhero, he was fast, he was prompt, he was trustworthy, and that's how we got that image. And then we enforce that within our team, within our culture. It's a dialogue that we always have within the culture. You're a hero, you did a hero job. It just emphasizes and gives that good energy to the team as well. Future goals for Service Heroes would be to have a national brand and to be a one-stop shop for any household or property manager for any sort of trade. It doesn't have to be plumbing, electrical, air conditioning, solar, could be pest control, could be locksmith. We've got a very good talent of network, which we can have that one brand.
Still to come on Industry Leaders, Dragon Group's Managing Director Matt Jones, who emigrated to Australia with just $400 and then developed a unique app. See how his own skilled labour hire company embraces technology and rewards employees.
Late 2013, I had recently moved up from Melbourne. I was living in a friend's house in Sydney. I didn't really have a lot going on in my life. I didn't have a job. I was working part-time as a removalist, and I've always had these ideas and aspirations to, I knew I was going to get something. I just never really followed through and committed. And I was sitting down with a friend, and the idea of an app came to mind whereby that site managers and project managers, business owners could log on to their mobile device. They could view available candidates that were local to the area. They could read a bit about this candidate's profile, and they could also see a star rating. That was in 2013. We're now 2019, and that's how long it's taken to implement that technology into my business, Dragon Labour Hire. Dragon Labour Hire, our primary industry is casual workforce into the construction industry in the Sydney market. Labour hire companies have been around for a long time, but Dragon was essentially not a labour hire company to start. Dragon was an app, an idea that I had for an app. So once I had written down the app and looked at it on a piece of paper and thought to myself, wow, this is a really amazing idea, I then approached a few labour hire companies, but I got knocked back and it was like, this is never going to work, this is not a great idea, you know. So where'd you go from that? I mean, I was sitting down in my house again and I'm like, well, I think this is going to work. I think it's a great idea. I think it can definitely benefit our clients or future clients that I may have. So I started Dragon Labour Hire. So the point of difference that Dragon Labour Hire has is it was always destined to become an app, whereas others are always destined to become a labour hire company. So we really embrace technology, but we also really reward our casual employees by being on the app. We run a very lean ship at Dragon. So we actually pay our workers more and we give them incentive for achieving a higher rating from our clients. I had second thoughts when I was starting my business pretty much every day, all day, in between, whilst I was doing everything else. If you have two options, the left or the right, I pretty much feel that every time that I made a decision, I've always made the wrong decision. And as a business owner, you can beat yourself up over it and you can say things like, well, I didn't do very well there. But the fact of the matter is, it's your business. You're the one who is running it. They're your decisions. You have to live and die by them, whether it be right or wrong. 100% the most important thing is you have to learn from these mistakes that you make, because if you're anything like me, you will make hundreds of them. Our most recent awards at Dragon, most importantly, was being recognised in the Australian Financial Review as the 18th fastest growing company in the country last year. When we spoke to our clients about that, they're happy, they're pleased for us. They've supported our business along the way. So, you know, it's a bit back to them as well. We're doing the right thing by our candidates, we're doing the right thing by our clients. We put out a little note to our clients and made sure that we told them all about it and finished off with a big thank you, because we generally couldn't have done it without them. I'm obviously not Australian. I was born in South Wales in the UK. I was brought up in a very strict working class environment. So this is where I got my foundations from. I left school when I was 13. I was a bit of a bad boy in school. I never really had much interest in education. So when I was 13, 14, I was in the workplace. I went from job to job. I've done a lot of traveling. I think in the time when I'd done this traveling, it really opened my mind to the world and to how the world works and to how money works. I come to Australia in 2007. My whole idea was I was going to be traveling through Asia, just expanding and having a look what the world has to offer. When I landed in Australia in Perth, I had probably like $400 to my entire name. My decision was very simple. It was either I could fly back home with my $400 and then get stuck in London Heathrow, or I could fly to Sydney, see the Harbour Bridge and try and make it from there. That's pretty much how I landed in Australia. So when I got here, I was straight into the workforce and started working for a removalist company, and I built my way up from there. I can tell you a bit of a story about how Dragon came to be and what really inspired me. So before the app and before all of this is a long time before.
Stay tuned to Industry Leaders for more of Matt Jones' inspiring journey after the break. Get the story of how Dragon Group came to be and what inspired its managing director before he developed his skilled labour hire app.
I can tell you a bit of a story about how Dragon came to be and what really inspired me. So before the app and before all of this is a long time before, I was traveling the East Coast. You know, the usual backpacker route, Sydney to Cairns. We rented a van, doing jobs, working in between. When I was working, I wasn't really getting paid what I should be by certain companies, builders up and down the East Coast. And the final nail in the coffin for me was I worked for a landscaping company in Cairns. I don't know if anybody's been to Cairns in February, it is pretty hot. So we were laying turf for 8 hours a day. He was paying me daily because he knew I would have to go back the next day, sort of thing. And at the end of the week, I got the remainder of my pay and I was just like, mate, that is not a fair reflection of the effort that I've put in. Plus, it's breaking the law. You can't pay me that little amount of money. And, you know, I didn't really have a leg to stand on. And when I left Cairns, I was just like, you know what, that guy's done the wrong thing. And that stayed with me throughout Dragon. And when I started Dragon, I was like, you know what, we're always going to make sure that we do the right thing by our workers. What's really helped me a lot is my wife. My wife and I got married in 2017. She was a really instrumental role in my life. Nikki's very gifted with numbers, which is great because I'm not very gifted with numbers. She helps me a lot, not just in the business, but there to help and support. And now we have two beautiful young girls as well. So, I mean, going home from work now, it's just an amazing thing. You get to go home, hang out with the family, and that is how I wind down. My other passions, I love motor racing, I love boxing, I love golf, and walking my dog. That's generally what I'm doing when I'm not in work. The biggest reward for dealing with your clients is the full 360, whereby you know the builder. So I hold personal relationships with a lot of the builders that I deal with. I've known them for a long time. If they come to you and they say, Matt, look, this is what I'm looking for. I've got a project that starts in 3 weeks. I need somebody to lead that for me. I can't afford any mistakes. They're only small businesses as well, so we have to get it right. We have to get it right first time. And when you then meet your candidates, and you would think that, oh wow, I've done such a great job for the builder, but realistically, you've actually found somebody a job as well. You found a candidate a job. You're going to help contribute towards his or her life a better place as well. And then comes the interaction where you put them both together. So it's a very much a win-win for everybody when you get it right. The first moment I realized that we had something, that Dragon was moving along, I think it's the first time you get paid, you know, when you do a job and you get paid, because it's so hard to get paid. Like when I first started, I was like, oh, okay, so you've got to do the paperwork and there's so much you have to do. And then you think pay is just something that automatically happens. Well, it doesn't. You've got to work just as hard to get paid as you have to do the job. And that's just a fact of the construction industry, especially in the Sydney market. So I think once you get paid, you've done a good job for the client, your candidates are happy, everyone's happy, then it's sort of like, oh wow, we could be onto something here. So my greatest strength would probably be tenacity. I don't stop. You know, if you don't get it right, don't cry about it. You know, it's hard, but get over it. You've just got to get back up and go back at it again. And sometimes you're wrong. You've got to admit when you're wrong. My greatest weakness, well, my golf game's a pretty big weakness of mine currently. But realistically, my biggest weakness, I'm probably a bit trusting, but some would say also that's my biggest strength. I like to do some good in the world. I like to deliver on something and make a positive difference to the world. I really believe that the Dragon app's going to help a lot of people do this. I think it's going to help a lot of people put up a profile, find a good employer that they're matched with, and ultimately earn some money, feel good about yourself, get yourself into the workplace. Our plans for the future, we're going to ease into the start of the year. We're currently out for testing with a number of our key accounts, and a number of our best candidates are representing us on the Dragon app right now. So one step at a time, baby steps. Hopefully towards the middle of this year, we're going to open this up towards the wider construction area across the Sydney, and then we're going to start to move into other industries such as warehousing, logistics and retail.